immortal, invisible, God only wise, in light inaccessible, hid from our eyes. Most blessed, most glorious, the Ancient of Days, almighty, victorious, thy great name we praise. Thou reignest in glory, thou dwellest in light, thine angels adore thee, all veiling their sight. All praises we render, oh help us to see, that only the splendor of light hideth thee.
Oh, give thanks to the Lord, call on his name, make known his deeds among the peoples. Loving God, open our eyes to see what is beautiful, our minds to know what is true, and our hearts to love what is good. We join together in saying the prayer that your Son taught us to pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. The Older Testament reading is from Genesis 29, verses 15 through 28. Then Laban said to Jacob, "Because you are my kinsman, should you therefore serve me for nothing? Tell me, what shall your wages be?" Now Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah's eyes were lovely, and Rachel was graceful and beautiful. Jacob called Rachel, so he said, "I will serve you 7 years for your younger daughter Rachel." Laban said, "It is better that I give her to you than that I should give her to any other man. Stay with me." So Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed to him but a few days because of the love he had for her. Then Jacob said to Laban, "Give me my wife that I may go into her, for my time is completed." So Laban gathered together all the people of the place and made a feast. But in the evening he took his daughter Leah and brought her to Jacob, and he went into her. Laban gave his maid Zilpah to his daughter Leah to be her maid. When morning came, it was Leah. And Jacob said to Laban, "What is this you have done to me? Did I not serve with you for Rachel? Why then have you deceived me?" Laban said, "This is not done in our country, giving the younger before the firstborn. Complete the week of this one, and we will give you the other also in return for serving me another 7 years." Jacob did so and completed his week. Then Laban gave him his daughter Rachel as a wife. The epistle reading is from Romans chapter 8, verses 26 through 31. Likewise, the Spirit helps us in our weakness. For we do not know how to pray as we ought, but that very Spirit intercedes with sighs too deep for words. And God, who searches the heart, knows what is the mind of the Spirit, because the Spirit intercedes for the saints according to the will of God. We know that all things work together for good for those who love God, who are called according to his purpose. For those whom he foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son, in order that he might be the firstborn within a larger family. And those whom he predestined, he also called, and those whom he called, he also justified, and those whom he justified, he also glorified. What then are we to say against these things? If God is for us, who can be against us? The Gospel reading, Matthew 13, 31 through 33, 44 through 52. He put before them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed that someone took and sowed in his field. It is the smallest of all the seeds, but when it has grown, it is the greatest of shrubs and becomes a tree, so that the birds of the air come and make nests in its branches." He told them another parable. "The kingdom of heaven is like yeast that a woman took and mixed in with 3 measures of flour until all of it was leavened. The kingdom of heaven is like a treasure hidden in a field, which someone found and hid. Then in his joy he goes and sells all that he has and buys that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant in search of fine pearls. On finding one pearl of great value, he went and sold all that he had and bought it. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a net that was thrown into the sea and caught fish of every kind. When it was full, they drew it ashore, sat down, and put the good into baskets, but threw out the bad. So it will be at the end of the age. The angels will come and separate the evil from the righteous and throw them into the furnace of fire, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Have you understood all this?" They answered, "Yes." And he said to them, "Therefore every scribe who has been trained for the kingdom of heaven is like the master of a household, who brings out of his treasure what is new and what is old." Here end the readings. All glory and honor be to God forever.
Jesus, keep me near the cross, there a precious fountain, free to all a healing stream flows from Calvary's mountain. In the cross, me my glory ever, till my raptured soul shall find rest beyond the river. Near the cross a trembling soul, love and mercy found me. There the bright and morning star sheds its beams around me. In the cross, be my glory ever, till my raptured soul shall find rest beyond the river. Near the cross, O Lamb of God, bring its scenes before me. Help me walk from day to day with its shadow o'er me. In the cross, be my glory ever, till my raptured soul shall find rest beyond the river.
Let us pray. We come to this time of prayer, God of the ages, as on a venture of discovery. We are drawn by your holiness. We are attracted by love that will not let us go. We long for a relationship in which we not only receive, but also become responsible partners. You have offered us a covenant, a relationship we can trust. We want to be trustworthy partners. We bring to you our weaknesses, our impatience, our tendency to be distracted by many things. The mustard seed of faith has not found fertile soil within us. The yeast of your Rome has missed among us the warm environment needed for expansive growth. We have not wanted your reign among us enough to center our lives on its pursuit. We're busy with so many things. So much is demanded of us as we try to make a living that we forget to live. We fail to approach everyday decisions and long-term planning from the viewpoint of our relationship with you. Come, Holy Spirit, to awaken our awareness. Nothing can separate us from the love of God in Jesus Christ our Savior. You are always present. Your guidance is always available. No human deceits have lasting power. No human failure is unredeemable. We give thanks to you, God, and sing praises to you. Our hearts rejoice in your presence and celebrate your wonderful works. All we receive is meant to be shared. We know that, God. Your reign is realized only in community. Help us to be catalysts of love in your realm, welcoming others into covenant relationship with you. Teach us in this hour what you would have us do. Amen. A man once said, the kingdom of heaven reminds him of an old-fashioned VW Beetle. When introduced, it was one of the smallest cars he'd ever seen. It wasn't very powerful or very stylish or very impressive in any way. And back then, there was no status with owning one. And yet today, it is one of the most recognizable cars on the road. It grew from a cheap backwater mode of transportation into an international phenomenon. It became popular beyond imagining, a cultural icon and a marketing miracle. Today, people may smile when they look at one, but not laugh. Somehow that Beetle managed to become a tremendous success story. It exceeded all expectations. Today's reading is also about great expectations. It's about things that seem quite small and insignificant, used to foretell and to illustrate a booming success. Of all things, this promised success story is about none other than the kingdom of heaven. In it, Jesus shares snapshots of what the kingdom is like with a small group of his followers who are feeling discouraged and despairing. We know how that feels, don't we? We've all been tempted to think, what's the use? So to them and to us, Jesus shares images of the kingdom, vivid images, realistic images. It's like he's passing around photos at a family gathering, and we're part of his family. So let's take a look at his pictures. Pictures meant to empower and to awaken faith in tough times. And just maybe what he shares might pull us out of our discouragement and our despair as well. Let us pray. Dear God, may the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. In our gospel reading for today, we find Jesus talking to his tiny congregation, describing something that is near and dear to him, something he often talks about. Jesus is telling them about his Father's kingdom. He's explaining what it looks like and telling them that they don't have to wait. He tells them that it's already under construction. But Jesus has a problem. You see, the kingdom is just beginning to dawn. So Jesus can't show his disciples what the final product looks like just yet. It's not yet something they can see with their own eyes or touch with their hands. It's still far beyond what their normal senses can comprehend. And there's just no way he can load them on a bus and take them on a class field trip to see it. But Jesus clearly wants them to know all about God's kingdom. He knows that they need to hear about it, because as they look at the troubled world around them, he wants them to be assured that God is actively at work, preparing a better place. So today, Jesus does what Jesus does best. He uses 5 short parables to describe what God has in store for the world. He begins each of the parables with this phrase: "The kingdom of heaven is like this." And each time he takes out a picture to show them one aspect of God's realm. After all, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. So he uses pictures to help his disciples to better understand. But these aren't pictures you would expect Jesus to be showing. That's because they aren't very flattering pictures. Our modern minds picture a mustard seed as tiny and cute. But the mustard plant was a weed, a trash bush, and we associate leaven with the smell of freshly baked bread. But back then, they associated it with rot and uncleanliness. And in a man's world, here Jesus pictures himself as a baker woman. And the treasure finder, he's really no more than a thief who's been digging in someone else's field. And merchants back then weren't well regarded either, just seen as out to make a quick buck. But those are the very characters that Jesus shows in his pictures. He begins like this: "The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed that someone took and sowed in his field. It is the smallest of all the seeds, but when it has grown, it is the greatest of shrubs and becomes a tree, so that the birds of the air come and make nests in its branches." He passes around a picture of a single mustard seed so that they can get a sense of how small it is. Then he passes out a picture of a fully grown tree. It's hard to believe that something so huge could come from something so tiny. But it becomes a tree that can house and protect the birds of the air. God's kingdom is big. There's plenty of room. It's a place of care and shelter and protection. But Jesus is just getting started. The kingdom of heaven is like yeast that a woman took and mixed in with 3 measures of flour until all of it was leavened. Jesus then passes around a picture of this female baker and further explains what's going on. Look closely. That's what God is up to. You can't see what the leaven is doing, but you just know that it's at work. It's transforming that dough into delicious bread. God is at work preparing a feast like none of us have ever tasted. With these 2 pictures, Jesus is offering much needed encouragement. He smiles and pulls out another one. The kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in a field, which someone found and hid. Then in his joy, he goes and sells all that he has and buys that field. God's realm is like that treasure. It's extremely valuable. All else pales in comparison to it. It's more than worth whatever it takes to possess it. Anyone with his head screwed on right would gladly give all that he has for it. Then here comes another picture. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant in search of fine pearls. On finding one pearl of great value, he went and sold all that he had and bought it. The merchant looks at pearl after pearl, and then he sees one that catches his eye. It really stands out. It's a true beauty. He just knows that he must have it. He knows that it's worth it. He's willing to do whatever it takes to possess it. Jesus then shows the final picture. The kingdom of heaven is like a net that was thrown into the sea and caught fish of every kind. That's exactly what God's kingdom is like. It reaches out to embrace all of creation, reaches out to draw all of us into the loving arms of God. Jesus is saying some pretty incredible things to us about the kingdom of heaven. It's real, it's extraordinary, and it's already here, hidden right here among the ordinary things of this world. Things we would normally pass over, things we overlook, things we don't give a second thought to. But Jesus says that's where God is at work. Just think about it. The tree that shelters and protects the birds of the air is hidden in a teeny tiny mustard seed. The leaven that makes delicious bread is hidden in the dough. The treasure is hidden in an average field. The pearl of great value is hidden among plain, ordinary stones. And the net catching the fish is hidden in the depths of the sea. So Jesus is saying this to the disciples and to us. The kingdom of heaven is found where you least expect it. It is found in and among ordinary, everyday things. It's there to be seen with eyes of faith. And this kingdom of heaven is extremely valuable. Upon finding it, it's worth giving one's all to possess it. Money, land, and earthly possessions mean nothing. They pale in comparison to what the kingdom has to offer. And this realm of God comes and seeks us out. For God comes to invite all of us to be a part of this miraculous miracle. A favorite story for many growing up was Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. The whole story pivots around one boy's quest to follow a treasure map to its promised riches. A cast of allies assembles to make the voyage possible. But as the trip progresses, it becomes clear that everyone is not who they seem to be. In fact, most of the crew turns out to be pirates. Mutiny ensues, and much of the rest of the story tells of the struggle to get the treasure. Of course, the reason Treasure Island made sense, and why Jesus uses this analogy of treasure, is that in times past, valuables were hidden. Some were actually buried. Before banks were established, it was not uncommon to hide riches in the ground. So knowing where to dig for those valuables made all the difference. Jesus is telling us where to dig. And his good news for us this day is that God's kingdom still comes, that it can still be found in our ordinary day-to-day lives. Jesus tells us that we can see it if we look through eyes of faith. We get glimpses of it when we see someone getting a pat on the back. We can hear it when someone is offered a word of encouragement. And we can witness it when someone offers a listening ear. It's in those seemingly simple acts of love that we find God's kingdom right in our very midst. If I were asked to show some pictures of God's kingdom, I would pass around a picture of a rainbow. I would pass around a picture of a caterpillar transforming into a beautiful butterfly. And I would pass around a picture of this church. I think that the kingdom of heaven can be seen right here at Hickman Mills Community Christian Church. Truly and thankfully, I see glimpses of it here all of the time. Who would have thought the kingdom of heaven right here all along, to be found in the everyday and in the ordinary? Jesus tells us that God's love is definitely at work right here and right now. No need to wait. No need to despair. Thanks be to God. Amen.
There is a place of quiet rest near to the heart of God, a place where sin cannot molest, near to the heart of God. O Jesus, blessed Redeemer, sent from the heart of God, hold us who wait before you, near to the heart of God. There is a place of comfort sweet, near to the heart of God, a place where we our Savior meet, near to the heart of God. O Jesus, blessed Redeemer, sent from the heart of God, hold us who wait before you, near to the heart of God.
Our Lord invites to his table all who love him and who desire to live in peace with one another. On the night when he was betrayed, our Lord took bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and gave it to his disciples, saying, "This is my body broken for you. Do this in remembrance of me." In like manner, after supper, Jesus took the cup, saying, "This cup which is poured out for you for the forgiveness of sins is the new covenant in my blood. So drink from it, all of you."
Gracious God, we thank you for the great love you show for us, the many blessings you pour into our lives. God, we thank you that we are finding you with us, even when we are discouraged and disparaging. And thanks to your teaching, we begin to see that there are glimpses of you all around us, but most clearly at this table, where you rub elbows with us and break bread with us. For all this we give thanks through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Guide me, O thou great Jehovah, pilgrim through this barren land. I am weak, but thou art mighty. Hold me with thy powerful hand. Bread of heaven, feed me till I want no more. Feed me till I want no more. When I tread the verge of Jordan, bid my anxious fears subside. Bear me through the swelling current, land me safe on Canaan's side. Songs of praises, be thou still my strength and shield. Be thou still my strength and shield.
Now that we know where the kingdom of heavens can be found, let us go and point the way to others. Amen.